All right, so we tested the market maker's downside expected move pretty much on the nose. Bounced back above gamma neutral on the weekly. Failed to squeeze out to DN on the second upside test, but we did get a slightly higher high going into the end of the day, just a little bit, right? Yeah, 55.40 versus well, hold on, this was higher. That's why it's just masking that candle. Slightly lower high, 55.53 versus 55.40. But still room for this to continue reversing off of the bounce. Closing below delta neutral today, probably not that significant, although made a little bit more significant by the fact that we have actual data tomorrow. So bears are in a better position than they would have been had we floated up above the delta neutral on the weekly contract. In the overnight, it looks like the retest of 55.66 failed, and we're pulling back below the prior week close, 55.45 to the downside and 55.2250 to the downside are fairly important support levels. We'll see if that continues to fail in after hours. Obviously, Trump's speaking right now, so that could have some bearing on overnight direction for the futures. NQ actually closing down 20 points today, so a bigger sell-off in tech. Probably a little bit of lost confidence there with Trump's reinvigorated rhetoric against Canada that he brought up this morning on his Truth Social. Dollar down 66 points on the day with the larger issuance. The QRA indicates about 4 times, almost a little more than 4 times, more expected issuance for the next fiscal quarter. More than 4 times more than expected issuance for the next fiscal quarter, which saw yields actually decline from about 3 o'clock. But there's a fairly good chance that those will start to turn around, especially as those auctions are realized. So Basant clearly needing to lean more into YCC, which will likely continue to weaken the dollar. And if the dollar continues to go down, that's not going to do good things for leverage. Commodities broadly up, oil taking a bit of a hit today, even though they announced that they were refilling the strategic oil reserves. Oil down 176 points on the day. Silver and gold up. Gold up very significantly, 2% bounce back so far. Obviously, betting against dollar risk and mirroring the decline in the dollar. Correlation starting to turn around a little bit, actually. I know we got the bump into end of day, but at end of day, correlation, like the dispersion dropped off a bit and correlation picked back up again. It's kind of starting to look like this is bottoming out. I would keep a close eye on this. If the dispersion trade starts to fall apart, likely after larger earnings this week, if it's going to, we could start heading back down again on the index. So probably a lot of dispersion into earnings, capture the move up and implied volatility on equities, and then heavily incentivized to close those positions post earnings. So something to keep an eye on. Carry trade leverage falling off very sharply today, down almost 15% from today's open. Really significant decline there. We see the bear steepener picking up, but forward yield on volatility kind of flat on the day. So they're still pushing down on vol, but there is incentive in the market for people to continue going long vol, and so that short vol position is at least getting somewhat pressured now. Bond volatility still over 100, but mirroring the drop in correlation. Looks like out of the money put interest declining into today. Maybe we'll see a little bit more pickup now that today's passed and we did have that lower high. Correlation down a little, but still very elevated. Breadth narrowing. Fed fund futures up a little bit, but still 2 rate cuts by September. And the bear steepener picking up about 5%. Back up to the 50 range. So a little bit of worry there. We have ISM manufacturing later this week too, and GDP. Both of those are going to be huge drivers of the 10-2 year spread. So we'll keep an closer eye on this week. I haven't done technical analysis for this week yet, but we did partially, well, we almost sort of a little bit filled some of this gap to the upside. 55, yeah, but not all of it. And we're still moving down and retesting the EMA 30 each day, which is interesting. So there's still some pull to the downside and some profit taking here above the EMA 30. Obviously, we have the EMA or the MA 50 to the upside around 56.11. But if we continue to fail to fill this gap, I would say that that's probably pretty bearish. I don't think that's going to be the outcome. I think it's more than likely that we move up towards the 50 MA and probably try to retest the Jan low. I think we've got enough sold puts to pull it off over the next week or so. But there are potential surprises on the tariff front, GDP, labor data, all of which could substantially affect our ability to move higher, or push us back down into squeezing those short puts that have piled up beneath spot. And they're not very far from spot. They're only about 3% out of the money. Even with today's very slight move up. However, today will have pushed realized vol down a little bit. It will incentivize probably more short put selling, maybe at the 5,000 strike now that, or the 5,500 strike now that that's been regained. And so there is a platform, here at the EMA 30 for bulls to push off of. So we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, gap filling to the upside's a little bit bullish. And then, then we're looking out to that 56.96 test, which is what was it, the November low, right? I think. Yeah, November 24 low, which was an important level. It was where we failed before we dumped. It was the level we were unable to regain. Well, we tested the Jan low here and then failed to regain the November low and then dumped like a rock. So, yeah, 56.96, very important. Also very important for CTAs coming in. Anyway, that's it. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys tomorrow. As far as the write-up goes, I know I didn't get everything done that I usually get done for the week. Last night, allergies are killing me right now, but I'll try to get the macro shit written up tonight, and I'll get the technical analysis for the week written up as well. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you later. Peace.